Hello, Star Wars fans. Now, I told myself I was not going to come back and do a round two of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, My Fears and Doubts, but unfortunately I have to. I saw part of an interview that Lucas did, and I don't know who the interviewer was. It could have been the Charlie Rose interview, but Lucas basically said something that had my jaw just drop right then and there. He said that when Disney bought the franchise, they had no intention of doing sequels. Well, that explains why Episode 7 feels like a rehashing of Episode 4. It's like they were trying to go create a spark, and then they wanted to play it safe at the same time, and that's just, I don't know. I don't know if that's a real good way to make a film. Sometimes you have to take chances. That's what Lucas did when he created Episode 4 or A New Hope. I mean, he took a lot of chances. A lot of studios turned him down. And a lot of them wish that they would have been like, I wish we would have taken him up on that and done that film, but I just think this movie's kind of a weird amalgamation of trying to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or actually 1 step forward and 2 steps back, really. But I don't know, with us Star Wars fans being as fickle as we can be sometimes, I don't know if we would have accepted, a complete reboot. I mean, think about it. Disney could have said after they bought the franchise, Lucas has 6 films and everything that's canon with those 6 films stays that way. This is Disney Star Wars. We're going to do a complete revamping, rebooting, and we're going to come up with our own stories, all original. Would we have accepted that? Hoth can still be the snow planet and Tatooine's still a desert planet and all this. But the characters are all different. The species may still be around, so they're still doing it off of Star Wars, but it's like an elsewhere world or an alternate reality version of Star Wars. And it doesn't focus on the Skywalkers and the Solos and stuff. That might have worked. I just don't know, like I say, being that we're so fickle, I don't know if we would have accepted that. There is another method that they could have done. I don't think I could have accepted this one, but it is something to think about. And that is recast Han, Luke, Leia, Lando, and Wedge, if Lando and Wedge are going to be part of 8 and 9. Just recast those people to younger people, as far as, and when I say younger, I'm saying, in the late 30s, somewhere in their 40s, and just bump the series up maybe 10 to 20 years into the future from Episode 6. And, they didn't have to go as far as almost 40 years into the future. That might have worked, but I just don't know if I could see Sean William Scott or Ryan Reynolds playing Luke Skywalker or something. I don't know if I could see that, or maybe Mila Kunis playing Princess Leia or something. Not that they're old enough to play some of these parts, but I just don't know if I could see anybody like that. Maybe Brad Pitt playing that part. I just don't know if I could see that. But anyway, the third method is the one that I spoke about in the previous video, the previous rant, and that is using Han, Luke, and Leia to the nth degree. Having the story focus on them first, and then the new characters are slowly brought in and slowly built up, and then somewhere along the line in this trilogy, it shifts over to the new characters, and we see less of Han, Luke, and Leia. They're more in the background now. But this movie kind of throws them into the background almost at the jump. You see Rey and Finn like almost immediately, and Poe. And where's Luke? Where's Han? Where's Princess Leia? Where are they at? And that's not quite the movie I really wanted to see. Of course, I'm just one lone voice in the wilderness, and I don't have any say on which way they're going to go with the movies. But unfortunately, it was somewhat of a disappointment to me. I'm not saying it was junk by any means. It's a watchable film. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't have the impact of the original trilogy. And honestly, I don't know if we'll ever get that original trilogy moment, because you didn't have a franchise there already before the films came out. Nowadays, the merchandising and all that's already ready to go before the film even hits the theater. Back when Lucas did Episode 4 in 1977, there was no merchandising. As a matter of fact, if any of you Star Wars fans have watched the documentaries that's been on a lot of the different DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, a lot of the Kenner action figures were not even ready to go. It was months after the film had hit the theaters. I think it had already left the theaters before the action figures ever started coming out. And so I mean, the franchise was built from that first movie, and now things are thought about in a different way. It's about how can we merchandise these movies. Like, think about the movie Batman and Robin, one of the most hated films. One of the most hated films on the planet. Look at how the characters are dressed and the cars and the Batmobile and everything. It's all about merchandising. And now Star Wars are starting to become that as well. But so I don't know if we'll get original stories, like that moment in 1977. I just don't know if we'll ever get that ever again, since it's already established. The other thing is, when you have, episode 7 almost takes away from the ending of episode 6. When you have a big celebration, the Empire's broken, and then all of a sudden the First Order comes out of nowhere and starts wreaking havoc everywhere, and now the rebellion, who is reduced to the resistance. It's like they've been downgraded. What the hell happened? I mean, of course, there might be some comics or novels or something that might explain it, but why do you have to read this external canon to figure it all out? Why didn't the movie start there to explain why? But I don't know. You would think that the rebellion has now become the main force, and that's it. But I just think episode 7 kind of contradicts what was going on in episode 6. I just think episode 7 really does that for 6, and I don't really like that element. The only original element that I can add to this is the fact that Kylo Ren is being pulled by the light side, and that's kind of an unusual way to go about it. I've never even thought about that, even as a Star Wars fan. Usually it's the dark side that's pulling people over that way. But the biggest point that I had an issue with is these YouTubers, these big-time YouTubers, that I love watching their videos. But when it came down to episode 7, they got their giant fan goggles or fandom glasses on, and those glasses must be 3 inches thick, because every one of them gave this movie padding that I just couldn't believe. And usually I agree with these guys on some of their movies, but I guess with Star Wars, being a fan of that movie, the franchise as well, I guess I take umbrage with what they said. But here's what they said, and this is Angry Joe, Jeremy Johns, Black Nerd Comedy, Boogie 2988, Nostalgia Critic. All of them, and let me go ahead and explain about Boogie. I didn't watch his video, but I did watch a guy's video who called Boogie out and said that Boogie had lost some stripes in his eyes because Boogie said it was the best film he's seen in a while. But all these other guys said that episode 7, Disney had to do episode 7 this way to give us a bigger 8 and 9. Let me repeat that. Disney had to make episode 7 kind of a rehashing in order to give us a bigger 8 and 9. You're gambling on the fact that they can actually pull that off, or they're actually going to do that. They're not going to do what you think they're going to do, unfortunately. What they're going to do is probably just give us a rehashing of episode 5 with the next film and episode 6 with the 9th film. That's probably what they're going to do. I hate to tell you, but I just don't have any faith in that Disney is going to be able to pull this off. Because, like I said at the beginning of this video, they had no intention of doing sequels. What would 7, 8, 9 be? Kind of like sequels in the saga, right? So I don't see them doing that. I think they're going to try to rehash and relive off the magic of episodes 4, 5, and 6. And maybe they move forward from that, but I don't know. I really don't. And the problem with this logic that these YouTube reviewers came up with is you're springboarding off of a movie that's nothing but a rehashing of episode 4, so how can you get any better than rehashing the next film and then rehashing the film after that? There's a problem with that logic. and that's the biggest issue I have, because if this was an original story and it was going in a completely unique direction, that might be, you might expect something completely original in the next film, but unfortunately I just don't see it happening. Maybe there'll be certain elements might be original, but it'll just be little sparks here and there. It won't be the big fire, the big bonfire we're looking for. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. It's not a piece of junk movie, but it is a disappointment. But anyway, peace out, Star Wars fans.